Hey YouTube! Yep. So what we have here is a vintage bass, but not vintage the way I normally do it, vintage as in the make vintage. My pal was over the other day and he was raving about these basses and oh, you not tried them? A vintage Music Man bass. So I think this might be a Music Man Stingray copy, is that? Or it might not be a Stingray, it's a any more Music Man copy of a bass anyway. I kind of know that Cliff Williams from AC/DC played one of these. It's basically a P bass with a circular scratch plate and a big humbucker instead of the split pickup, like this type of thing. But it seems to be pretty damn good. I'm enjoying it. Yep. So we've got a maple neck, maple fretboard. It's a separate piece for the fretboard. I got this cheap because you can't tell that this tuner was broken, so I've actually had one of them that's very similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. If I hadn't told you, you might not have noticed. But this one on the bottom, which you can't tell from the front, is different. It's a Wilkinson tuner. As you can see, it's much bigger on the back. But so I do that with a lot of guitars. If you buy a guitar off me, it may have a different coloured tuner or an odd saddle or something like that, but it will be solid. I'll not, it just means I can keep them cheaper, rather than having to buy a full set of tuners. I can just sort of mix and match a little bit. As long as it performs 100% and is totally solid, I'm easy with it. Yeah. So this has two tone controls, which is bizarre. So that's both the tone controls up at full. Into the Marshall B150. Then this is the first tone control. So it's kind of like a. And then if I turn the other tone control down, it operates on a different frequency. So I think what the only difference is, it's got a different sized capacitor on it, or is it called a capacitor? A cap? Whatever it is, the wee thing that looks like a bit of sweet corn, but it's green, that you get on tone pots. And if I turn them both off, which to be honest I find all the sounds useful. I think this is was Music Man one of the ones that Leo Fender designed, like the original one, not the vintage one. Like the vintage, not the vintage. There's. I was buying, thinking I was going to make it into either an iron brew, so it'd be orange body blue scratch plate, or a bucky, which would be green body orange scratch plate. But it seems to be pretty nice as it is. I mean, I think it's actually quite cool. I mean, I'm looking at myself not in the mirror, but in the screen there, what you're seeing just now, and they are cool basses. I quite like. It's the main thing I suppose you notice with this. It's basically a P bass. I think it's maybe a little bit different, but it's it's a P bass. But it's got a humbucker, and it's got a shorter headstock because it doesn't need to have 4 tuners. It's got 3 in 1, which makes it quite difficult to buy tuners because I was looking up sets of tuners and I couldn't find. It wasn't easy to find ones that were 3 in 1. You either had to buy a right-handed one or a left-handed one, and Alan, who told me that you can just flip them over. If you take the cog off and then put that you can't. It doesn't. You can't do that with them, or with this type anyway. Maybe you do get ones that you can, flip them over, but no, you can't. So, well, with one pickup, 2 tone control, there's not really that much I can do. So if I turn the drums on, a wee Moore drummer pedal, which I'm really liking. Turn the volume down a bit. It's like. I think that might be last time I was in the studio using it. First tone up. Other tone all the way off. Both the tones completely off. The volume wasn't quite a maximum there. Actually drive the amp, you hit it really hard. That's an absolute monster. these are awesome basses. It's brilliant. I can't fault it, really. Hangs well, plays really nicely. It's got a really nice dimension of neck on it. Apart from the fact that this one I bought two broken tuners, that's not its fault. Maybe a little bit neck heavy, but not a huge amount either. The big massive pickup is brilliant, and the two tone controls seems to be a good system as well. I'm not really finding any sounds that I'm finding unusable. I don't play like your slappy, partly because I can't, but also because I don't really want to. Don't really like bass that sounds like that. So maybe for that kind of music, this is not what you're after. But I mean, I just find it's so easy to play. It just sounds good no matter what you do with the tone controls. Really. I hear nothing but good things about this vintage brand. There's a Stratocaster that they do. I remember when I don't think I never really bought any guitar magazines, but I got a big pile of old ones at one point, and every time they came out with a vintage, it was always getting top marks. And I've met folk before as well who've got like, you know, American Strats at home, and they gig with a vintage. It might be called, is it called an Icon? Or am I hearing that from somewhere else? And I think the vintage brand, I think it might be this. Is it maybe that Alan Entwistle guy again? The guy who built that Badger guitar I've got, which is a similar sort of thing to this in the fact that it's like there's not really anything I would change. I would maybe not buy a black one because I'm not a big fan of black basses, but that's, you know, aside from purely aesthetic, is the round scratch plate cool? I don't know. Getting used to it. I quite like it, but for as far as all functionality, playing wise and sound wise, it's smashing. So I think if you're thinking of getting yourself a bass, you know, giving it a go, and you're buying a new one, I think these are they're under £200 new. I don't know how old this one is. Apparently it's an older one. I think you can tell by the headstock shape. This is sort of like I think they're sometimes more pointy here depending on how old it is. But really, I cannot fault this bass. If I didn't have a bass, I would be quite happy using this. I would definitely gig with it, absolutely no problem. I wish I'd had this as my second bass instead of the EBO, which that's not the one I used to have, but the one I had was pish. I used to gig with it when I started out. I didn't know any better. Once you put the second pickup in it and set it up, you can make it acceptable. But that's nothing like as good a bass as this, even with the extra pickup and the switches and the stupid paint job. So I'm going to be on the lookout a wee bit for some more vintage, the brand guitars, to see what these Strats everyone keeps talking about are like, because I mean this, I just can't fault it. I mean, it's like, there's not a situation where if I was having a jam, you know, or my bass broke or whatever, and I had to just, here, I can give you one just now, and it was just this is what you're stuck with. It'd be like, awesome. It doesn't, and I'm talking about, you know, I've got basses that are handmade and stuff, you know, are really expensive, and this is absolutely fine. In fact, it's not even fine. It's good. It's absolutely good. No matter what I can compare it to, I don't see how anyone could fault this, unless maybe, as I said before, if you're like a slap bass player, or I don't know, metal or something like that, like not normal music that I like. I was kind of doing this video to sell it, but actually, Jesus, this is the first time I knew it was pretty amazing. It's the first time I was actually played through an amp, and it's really, or to more than just to test it was working. In fact, I was actually playing it through my guitar amp, just when I was testing to see, make sure all the electrics worked. But actually playing through like a proper bass amp, and that's what do fine. I might take this in for Sabbath. Massive superpowered pickup. I've not actually managed to drive the preamp of that with any of the other basses I've tried into it, but you can get distortion just by hitting the strings really hard. I mean, that's quite a pleasant distortion as well. Recommend if you're buying a brand new bass, or you can get a second hand one, I would get one of these. Absolutely no problem. I really don't know that much about Music Man guitar. I did actually a Music Man guitar a couple of months ago. I changed the pickup, or sorted the electrics in one, and I never really found it that particularly interesting to look at. It was an amazing guitar, but it's not really that interesting to look at either. But I suppose it's a wee bit different with the circular scratch plate. I like the metal bit with it's got the jack going in the front the way it should, and it's going into a metal plate, which means it won't snap off easily, like what always happens with P basses. You always see P basses with this bit of the scratch plate left off because someone bashes the jack socket and it snaps the scratch plate, because that's what the thing's mounted in, whereas this one's in a metal plate, so that's an improvement on a P bass. The pickup, I think, I'm a huge P bass fan, especially the P bass pickup. I think the pickup's actually better. It's a better system. Even though it's a strange place, it's quite near the bridge for a bass, but it doesn't sound trebly. But that's maybe where this does fall down a little bit. It doesn't really have that super trebly mode, which you get from like a jazz bass pickup in this position. Yeah, so if you're going to buy a bass and one of the things you're thinking about is the Epiphone EBO, is a much better bass. It really is. I mean, I'm gigging that one because I painted it like that, but it just is better. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And is it better than your bass Squire? I mean, actually, I was in town today with my pal, looking at basses and guitar, and there weren't any cheap ones. I thought you could get like a bass model Squire P bass for like 120 quid. Not according, well, maybe they are, but they didn't have them on display in the shop. They kind of seemed, the Squires were set up at 300 odd, and it's just like, I didn't play them, but I mean, I don't know how much these are new either, so that doesn't really help very much. But it's definitely worth having a look. And it's dead simple, there's nothing really in it to go wrong, and I can't seem to get a bad sound no matter how I use the two tone controls. Everything seems to be completely useful. So, rock and roll. So I don't know whether I'll be selling this. You see, I might keep it for a couple of weeks until I decide that there's absolutely no reason for me to have another bass. I've got plenty. It's dead hard to sell something that I really like. I do really like this. It kind of reminds me a bit of a Telecaster in the fact that it's just so simple, and it's like a, you know, it's like a hammer. So it's a good hammer is just a good hammer. That's just what this is. It's just a good, solid, nothing fancy, non-adjustable. You don't need any of that adjustable. You just use it for hitting in nails, and this is basically what this does.